What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and I've been gone for a little bit. I decided to take some time off, spend time with friends, family, enjoy the holiday season, but we are back. And one of the things that I thought about over this break was why this Red Sox offseason was so frustrating, in particular this year for me. Because overall, in general, surface level type stuff, if you look at the numerically what the Red Sox picked up this offseason, they're all pretty positive moves. Yes, there are pretty glaring holes throughout this team, but for the most part, the players they did pick up have been positive. So why do I still feel so frustrated about this Red Sox offseason? Well, that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about why this Red Sox offseason is so frustrating, why I personally feel so frustrated watching this Red Sox offseason unfold. I want you guys to let me know what your offseason frustrations are, and we're going to get into everything in this video. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Oh, and before I forget, before we get into the video today, just a heads up, we are going to be live for the last time in 2022 tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We can talk about this video, we can talk about the Rafi situation, we can talk about whatever you guys want, but either way, you got to be there to ask the questions. Again, that is going to be tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, for the last Red Seat Radio live stream of 2022. Anyways, thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So like I said in the intro, I'm not really super upset with the moves that the Red Sox did end up making. Bringing Yoshida to this team, I think he will thrive in Major League Baseball. I'm not super worried about him. I'm actually pretty excited. Justin Turner, I don't think is going to be a bad addition at all. I think he will be productive at the plate. He'll be able to field. He'll be a decent addition to this team. I think it's great that the Red Sox are finally addressing the fact that the bullpen has been a mess for a while, bringing in guys who are reliable arms like Kenley, like Chris Martin, and I think they will end up being staples on this Red Sox team in 2023. So I don't really have a problem with the moves that the Red Sox actually ended up making. What I do have a problem with, and why I've been so frustrated with this offseason so far, is because of the moves they did not make. And there's a couple reasons for that. The first reason I am so frustrated with this Red Sox offseason is the fact that it feels like, yet again, the Red Sox do not have a specific direction. They don't really have a plan. It feels like right now, just based off of this offseason alone, not even to mention what they did at the deadline or last year before the regular season, just this offseason alone, it feels like the Red Sox are getting pulled in 100 different directions, and it's leaving them with no specific identity. Think about it, right? Let's take a look at the moves the Red Sox did and did not make this offseason, starting with the biggest one of them all. The Red Sox did not sign Xander Bogaerts. In fact, they didn't just not sign Xander Bogaerts, they put in a really poor effort to re-sign Xander Bogaerts, and they were never really super aggressive in their pursuit of Xander Bogaerts. And usually when that happens, when a team lets a cornerstone franchise face of the team type player go, that means that your team is going into full rebuild mode. Tear it down, you're going to burn it all down, you're going to build it back up from the ashes. Then you take a look at the moves they did make, right? When you talk about guys like Justin Turner, who are on short-term deals, they're the type of role player guys you expect would be plugged into a championship style roster. You look at the bullpen that we just talked about with Kenley Jansen and Chris Martin, who are again older, signed to short-term deals, reliable people in that bullpen. That indicates that, hey, maybe you're trying to push in the chips all at once, and this is the year that you're going to try and be competitive. It's two completely different philosophies and messages that are coming across with two completely different set of moves. It seems like every move the Red Sox make is pulling them in a different direction. It ends up with no identity. And it's not just not having a plan or a clear direction within the moves itself, it's everything else surrounding it too. Even with going back to Xander Bogaerts, when you talk to Chaim Bloom, he talks about, yeah, of course we made mistakes when that happened, we're gonna try and learn from them and move on. But then you talk to guys like Sam Kennedy, where he's essentially like, hey, it sucks, we're gonna move on, we still feel like we can field a really competitive team, and he never really does admit his mistakes. It's like half this front office feels as though they did mess up and they want to be able to correct it, and the other half is like, no, we're not going to admit our mistakes. Let's just keep going. That's at least what it feels like based on the quotes we've seen so far. And then you take a look at who they've actually gotten again this offseason. Really, the only guy that it's been noted that they were truly aggressive and urgent about was Yoshida. And it's that urgency that you saw with Yoshida that I wanted the Red Sox to have for the rest of this offseason. And it just simply does not seem like that's happening. Now, there is a big difference between panic buying, selling, trading, or urgent buying, selling, trading, right? There's a very fine line in between the two, and if you pass over them, that can be deadly as well. You don't want a team that panic buys players and gets yourself into a ton of bad contract, or panic sells players and doesn't get a ton in return, or trade, right? And then you end up losing that trade as well. So there is a fine line, but what I really wanted to do, and what I really think Red Sox Nation wanted the Red Sox to do, was head into 2023 and really approach this offseason like you approached Yoshida. Find your guy, find your number, make sure that guy is on your team, and if you have to go above that number, that's okay, because you believe in your plan, you believe in your ideology, and you believe in the way that this team is going. And it just simply does not seem like the Red Sox have been doing that as a unit this offseason. It feels as though they're discombobulated, it feels as though they're getting pulled in many different directions, and it feels like, to be honest with you, for a lot of these free agents, the Red Sox are sitting at the swimming pool looking at their player and sort of dipping their toe in, getting their body used to the temperature of the water before they really dive in and make a huge offer. And then all of a sudden, other teams are coming in, they're diving straight in. They want their guy, they got their guy, and the Red Sox are stuck losing out yet again. How many times this offseason have we heard the kings of interest, right? They were in it till the end, but eventually this guy just went over the top to get him. We've heard that a couple of times, and it seems as though that is going to continue to happen if things do not change. So the first reason I find this offseason so frustrating is because yet again, it does not feel as though the Boston Red Sox have an identity or a plan. The second thing that frustrates me the most about this Red Sox offseason is one that I think I share with a lot of other Red Sox fans, and that is the Red Sox ability to evaluate top tier, high impact talent. This one not only frustrates me, it also scares the hell out of me. It feels like this offseason, the Red Sox either don't have the ability or don't want to have the ability to read and adjust to fluctuations in the free agent market, or really in the trade market too, to be honest with you, but mostly in the free agent market for those big ticket, high impact players. Now, what I mean by this is looking at players from our own roster. Xander Bogaerts was apparently the Red Sox #1 priority. Whether or not that's actually true is a whole nother story, but we don't need to get into that right now. If you take a look at how they finished in the bidding war for Xander Bogaerts, they weren't second, they weren't first, they ended up in 4th or 5th place. They did not even go over $200 million for a guy who made $280 million over 11 years. Now, I'm not saying that that contract isn't ridiculous, but still, if you are going for a player like Xander Bogaerts, you have to be prepared to overpay a little bit, because that's just how free agency has run the last couple of years. Then you look at the Rafael Devers situation, where every single report that's coming out is that the Red Sox are looking for shorter term years, but a little bit higher AAV. And that's a really big problem. One, because Devers doesn't want that. Devers wants years and he wants the money. But two, because free agency really isn't trending that way at this moment, right? If you take a look at the big ticket, the high impact players of this 2023 offseason, a lot of them signed longer term deals for shorter amount of AAV. And this really does work out for both sides. If you take a look at how it works out for the player, you get the security, right? The long-term security. You don't have to deal with free agency probably ever again. And for the team itself, sure, you're probably 3, at most 4 years above what you are truly comfortable giving a player, but at the same time too, you're paying less for them per year, allowing that financial burden to be less on your team. With the new CBA, the luxury tax is going to increase every single year during it, so that burden that you're feeling with that player is going to be less and less every single year. It kind of works out for both sides, and the Red Sox are not doing that, which is a problem. A, because you are going to probably not be able to retain as many stars as you used to if you try to keep your own philosophy going. Stars on this Red Sox team, like, hey, Tristan Casas blows up, becomes a fantastic hitter in baseball. He realizes, oh, I could play for the Red Sox for 5-year contracts, and every 5 years I have to worry about where I'm going to play. Or I could go to the Mets, Dodgers, Padres, Cubs. There's all these other teams, right? And play for 10, 12 years on that team. I'm going there, right? It's going to make it really difficult for them to retain talent. So that to me is something that is super scary, because it not only affects this offseason, if they do not change their philosophy, hopefully with guys like Rafael Devers, it's going to hurt them long term. The last and final true frustration of this offseason comes from something that has been boiling under the surface within Red Sox fans for a while now, and has really sprung out because of things that have happened this offseason. But it feels like, specifically in this offseason, that FSG Fenway Sports Group no longer truly cares about putting together a high performance Red Sox team. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, the biggest example I can give you, and why it's so prevalent this offseason, is not only because the Red Sox are letting go of another franchise player and are really struggling with being able to retain their last and final true cornerstone Red Sox player, but it's because we are getting slapped in the face by other owners who do truly care about the performance or the legacy of their team. We're talking about guys in New York. Steve Cohen. Now, I don't expect FSG to spend like Steve Cohen, but I want them to care like Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen was in Hawaii late night. It was like 1:30 in the morning when he got a call that the Giants cut off their deal with Carlos Correa. Steve Cohen then spent the rest of the night into the morning trying to figure out a way to eventually get Carlos Correa to the Mets. Now, did that end up working out fully for the Mets? I'm not entirely sure. At this moment, I don't know if Carlos Correa is still a Met, but either way, it shows that he cares so much about the Mets winning, he's willing to stay up all night figuring out a deal. On the other side of New York, Hal Steinbrenner sitting on his yacht outside of Italy when he gets a call that, hey, listen, things with the Giants are starting to heat up. Aaron Judge is really considering leaving here. What do we do? Hal Steinbrenner steps in, gets on the phone, brings Aaron Judge back because he realizes how important having a player like Aaron Judge within this Yankees organization means to the legacy of not just Aaron Judge, but the New York Yankees as well. And those are two things that we would love for FSG to do, but then you sit there and it's like, okay, that may be a bit unrealistic. Those are sort of outliers. John Henry has not spoken to the media, hasn't spoken to fans, he hasn't spoken to the media, he has not spoken publicly about the Boston Red Sox since 2019. That is wildly infuriating, and it's only getting worse because of what we're seeing from other big market owners doing to make their team as competitive as it could possibly be. One of, if not the most frustrating part of this Red Sox offseason. Whew. And that is why I am so frustrated with the Boston Red Sox. I'm sure you guys have more reasons as well. So let me know in the comment section down below what's frustrating you the most about this offseason, and which one of these do you agree and disagree with? Are there ones on here where you're like, that doesn't really frustrate me too bad? Or are there ones on here where you're like, yes, finally, Corbin, thank you for saying that. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all of this and why you think this Red Sox season is so frustrating. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said at the beginning, if you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well, as it helps out a ton and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Don't forget, we are going to be live tomorrow night, Wednesday at 7 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you in the red seat.